Hi, everybody. It's John Halpin here with Josh Katzowitz. Welcome to the latest edition of Pickwatch Live. If you're watching on Facebook, the technology here, not on Pickwatch, but on Facebook and in my computer here, I thought I hadn't hit the live button. Facebook said I've been recording for a minute. You might have seen us talk about some other stuff, whatever it might be. Hello. Thanks for coming. We're getting ready to preview week 2. And I'm with the guy, hey, this guy right here, Josh, 12-3 against the spread last week. Dude, you killed it.
You know, it's all luck. There's not much there's not much I can say. Like I told you before, the only thing now is I have wiggle room where I can really screw up the next couple of weeks and it's going to be okay. It doesn't matter because I'll still be about 500 if I do that. And, right. I just give myself some wiggle room. That's it.
All right. So I got to show you something. I got to show everybody something. All right. You see this, my screen right here, everyone, if you're watching? Well, what I did was I went to Pickwatch. I looked at the picks and I used the search bar at the top. See, I thought you could just search for any single person you wanted with the search bar when Sean told me about it. But you can search, let's say 3 people. Let's say you want to search Josh and me and, Rich Eisen or something like that. You can and have us all here. So right now I have you and me sitting here with our against the spread picks for this week. So the new search bar on NFLPickwatch.com, you can sort if you want to do 5 people, you want to do 1 person, whatever it might be, you can search their names and you can kind of list all the people you want. So it's very customizable. It's not just a search. It's a really cool customizable search. Also, by the way, you see this little green button right here? If you're looking, you got to enlarge your screen if you want to see this, everybody. The green Excel button, what you can do is any way you sort, you can now download an Excel file. You can go back to previous weeks. You can do one person's pick. You can do all the ESPN people's picks for this week, plus Josh and me, or you can do all the NFL networks, and you can see what their picks are. So you can download and sort in any kind of way just by using this green Excel button. So those are 2 new. This Excel button, by the way, we're recording this. If you're not watching on Facebook Live, we're doing this 10:30 Eastern on Tuesday. I was talking to Sean. They literally launched the Excel function 20 minutes ago. So, I mean, they are just cranking out a ton of stuff, the developers on Pickwatch.com. You have to check this stuff out. There's going to be more coming, and every week we're going to shamelessly plug all the new features that Pickwatch has because they're really cool. The whole idea is to create a very friendly, healthfully friendly thing for fans. So this is great stuff. They're doing a great job, but please go check it out. The search function, which you can do a lot of different ways, and the Excel function, which you can download after you search. All right, I'm going to stop the screen share right now. So, Josh, let's start with the Packers and the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers didn't practice Wednesday. I thought I read this morning it sounded less likely he's going to play. That things don't look good, which I'm not surprised at. I mean, after, you can on adrenaline maybe hop. I don't know what you can do because I've never experienced that, having 300-pound people chasing me when I had a bad knee. But you can hop around for a little while, maybe on adrenaline. You don't want to go out there week to week if your knee's kind of totally messed up. So if we don't see Rodgers, it wouldn't be a shock at all. And right now, I see Packers -1. That's the line we've got on Pickwatch, the over under 45. I think we got to jump on the Vikings. Even if Rodgers plays, I think I'd want to go Vikings.
Yeah, for sure. It's, I think if Rodgers doesn't play, it means he's really hurt because, a division game at home, an important game, even though it's only week 2, this is an important game for the Packers. And if Rodgers can't play, if Rodgers isn't playing, it's a big deal. If Rodgers doesn't play, I think you're right. I mean, I think if Rodgers plays, I'm still going Vikings all day long because he's not 100%. He's kind of gimpy, which certainly limits his game. I think if Rodgers doesn't play, I personally think it's like Vikings -7 if Rodgers doesn't play. If Rodgers does play, I would even go with the Vikings at like -3.
Right.
When you look at his backups, when you look at the prospect of Deshaun Kaiser having to play, or even God forbid Tim Boyle, whoever that is, as their third guy, that's rough for Green Bay.
Yeah. Right now, when you go on Pickwatch, don't take anything because a lot of the picks aren't in right now. I think 100% of the people have the Vikings because it's a pick 'em and we don't think Rodgers is playing. So you're going to have to come back and check in on that one. All right, folks. Reminder on here, Josh is at Josh Katzowitz on Twitter. I'm at jhalpin37. The main Pickwatch account is at Pickwatch. Pretty easy to remember. You can come back to, during the week, you come back to the site, check the picks at NFLPickwatch.com, against the spread, straight up, survivor picks, college picks as well. Check them all out. We don't do the college picks. We're going to have to add a show soon, one of these days, for college picks.
Yeah, you're not busy enough, man. You got more podcasts to do.
Totally. we've got shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This one is going to be usually Thursday, late morning. It might, it might move around a little bit, but it'll be midday, late morning, early afternoon, something like that on Thursdays, most likely. Ryan Fowler and I do 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning Eastern time, and I come back on Facebook Live only for his Sunday morning show. I did 11:45 Eastern in week 1, just to kind of go over the inactives and the injuries. I had to talk about the Cleveland weather a lot. I joked around. That was kind of fun. Like I was a weatherman. So that was good.
we have to do that this week too with the hurricane coming, or no?
No, well, no, because I think the only one really affected, unless the storm gets to Nashville early, because it's supposed to curl up. So I think Nashville would come later. The only one that I think would be affected is Atlanta. And, that would be a cancellation effect, not a bad weather effect in Atlanta.
You need a green screen, man. You need to get some training, get a green screen, do some weather reporting. It'll look good on you. Yep.
I can go
Sean's got the technology. We got to get that technology with Sean. I mean, let's talk to Sean about that.
Sean, weather green screens next after the sortable Excel files and all that stuff. Okay. Plus, Josh has a weekly preview, previewing some of the week's games. We're going to talk about them when we get to the games that he wrote about. First game up here, Ravens-Bengals tonight. So Ravens are favored by a point at Cincinnati. You used to cover the Bengals are, I don't know about near and dear to your heart, but you probably know them better than other teams. A little weird to me because I know the Ravens were terrific last week, but this isn't a game. It doesn't look like a game between a really good team and a really bad team to where one of them would be favored on the road, even though it's only by a little. I'm going Bengals here. I mean, it just jumped out at me as an easy one.
Yeah, no, I'm going Bengals. So I think maybe the reason why the spread is kind of weird is the Bengals didn't look great last week against the Colts, who were thought to be not a very good team. So having to kind of come play from behind and win that game was probably a factor. And maybe another factor too is that in these primetime games, Cincinnati is awful. I think they're like in the last 15 games, they're like 3-12, be it Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night games. And I haven't covered some of those games. The Bengals just are terrible for whatever reason. I don't know if it's a Marvin Lewis thing or what. I think I'm going with the Bengals. I thought them coming from behind last week, they did some good things there. With the Ravens, what they did against Buffalo, I'm not sure how much that really told us for how the rest of the season is going to play out. And the Bengals have won, 8 of the last 11 versus the Ravens. They've really been pretty dominant in that rivalry. I like Cincinnati here. And, yeah, like you said, there's not really much question in my mind about that.
All right. We agree. We are both taking the Bengals here. Okay. Colts are getting 5.5 at Washington. Did the Redskins surprise you? I know last week, I don't remember who you picked. I picked Arizona because I thought they were two similarly matched teams. Maybe I gave Arizona too much credit, but the Redskins look pretty good.
Yeah, no, I think I went with Arizona as well without having that in front of me. I'm not sure if the Skins surprised me more. I think the Cardinals surprised me more actually in that game, how bad they were. I'm not sure Washington surprised. You know what did surprise me? Adrian Peterson surprised me. 96 yards, the touchdown. That running game looked good. I mean, I don't think, with Alex Smith, I think he's always going to be that. He's proven he's that guy who's solid or better and a guy who manages the game well and will get you wins even when you're not expecting it. So I guess from that perspective, Alex Smith didn't surprise me, but I think the fact maybe we're seeing a little bit of a renaissance from Adrian Peterson. If that's the case, wow, the Skins that could be a really good thing for them.
Right. All right. Yeah, Peterson. I think Peterson could have another good week in him here. I don't think this Peterson renaissance is long for us, but
probably not.
I think this week against the Colts, he probably sets up for another good game. Chris Thompson, who was not complaining about his knee in the preseason, he said he wasn't sure when he was going to be back to 100%. Sure as heck looked like he's back to 100%.
I mean, those two combined to average 5.2 yards per carry. If they can keep up anywhere near that, that's really – and plus with Alex Smith, like I said, doing some play action, managing that game, even if he's got to do some checkdowns, man, that all of a sudden that offense could be like – not like an amazing offense, but certainly solid. Yeah,
so this week – even with the points, I am going to give the 5.5 and take the Redskins. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm taking the Redskins as well. Redskins at -5.5. Yep.
Okay. Looking at Pickwatch right now. By the way, I forgot to mention the Bengals. 64% Bengals. People agree with us. And where is that one? There's the Colts. 83% Redskins against the spread right now. So We're all in agreement, everybody. Everybody watching seems to be in agreement almost. So that's good. All right. Chiefs at Steelers. Steelers are favored by 5. Over-unders 52.5. I think we're going to see a lot of numbers in the 50s in games that involve the Chiefs because last week that was just – I know the Chargers are banged up. That was quite a performance by Pat Mahomes and that offense.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much buzz going into him this offseason, especially letting them, with Kansas City letting Alex Smith go and putting all their eggs in the Mahomes basket. And so far, it looks like it's paying off. He's just a dynamic player out there, and man, if he can keep that up, that's pretty great for Kansas City.
Yeah, it really is. I think right now, looking here at the popularity of that pick, what do we got here? Chiefs, Steelers, come on, there they are. So we're at 50%. So people are split on that one. I think that I came into this week thinking the Steelers will probably bounce back and that this would be a nice spot for them. But I feel like the 5-point spread, that's baked in. People don't see – a 5-point spread suggests that people are not underestimating the Steelers based on their game against the Browns. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, you know what? It's hard to say with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh always struggles against the Browns early in the season. I mean, I went back and did some research. They won by 3 points in Cleveland last year. They won by 3 points in 2014 when they were in Pittsburgh. They beat Cleveland 10-6 in 2008. So these early season struggles against the Browns, no matter how bad they are, and they were bad last year. They barely won that game. So I think there's certainly some precedent for the Steelers playing badly against the Browns early in the season and then coming back and performing well. Big Ben obviously didn't play well. That's I'm not sure I'm concerned about that. What I am a little concerned about is they let the Browns score twice score 2 touchdowns in the final 7 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
That's we know the Steelers defense isn't going to be as good as it has been in the past, but something like that is pretty worrisome.
Well, the turnovers, yeah. I mean, it was a disaster. Pittsburgh just they basically threw up all over themselves in the fourth quarter of that game, and just tried to give it away. It's hard, and they tried really, really hard, even if they were not, and it didn't quite work out. All right, you know what? As much as I think the Steelers, this is a good bounce back spot for the Steelers, the Chiefs are probably better than I thought, even though I still think the defense might be bad, but I think that offense could be even more potent than I thought. I'm gonna take the Chiefs with the points.
I took the Chiefs with the points too. I'm still a little, we can get into it later. I talked about this a lot in my picks column this week. I know Mahomes isn't a rookie, but these young quarterbacks, when they get off to such a good start, I'm still a little wary of how they perform consistently on a week-to-week basis. So with Mahomes as good as he was last week, I'm still a little wary. But yeah, I am taking the Chiefs at plus 5.5.
So does it matter to you if it's a young, like the difference between him and Darnold is that Mahomes sat for a year?
I think that Mahomes is certainly on a I'm not certain, and I don't know if I say certainly, but he's got a year more experience. He's got a year he's got a year of playing behind Alex Smith, who, like we talked about, solid guy, can learn a lot of things from him. So I mean, it's a matter of you throw Darnold out there just kind of without a lifeboat and hope he can swim. At least Mahomes has gotten some swimming lessons beforehand.
Right. All right. So we agree on that one, Chiefs. But I'm going Steelers straight up, Chiefs with the points.
Yep, me too.
Okay. Browns at Saints. Saints are favored by 8.5. Over under is 50. I think the Saints week 1 was a fluke, especially their defense. Their defense was good last year, and I think there's a temptation for people to say, same old Saints. I'm not buying it. I think we might see some angry Saints this week.
Yeah, you should, because of you can't – I mean, when Ryan Fitzpatrick can do that to you, when just totally dominate you like that, that's terrible. It's a terrible thing. There's certainly some talent. On Cameron Jordan on the defensive end is a really good player. The cornerbacks they're not great. That secondary.
Like Lattimore's good.
Lattimore's a good player. The rest of them, you take them or leave them, I think, for the most part. But yeah, I mean, the defense should be better than that. I'm not convinced this is going to be a great defense in New Orleans, but they certainly shouldn't be allowing 400+ yards to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Right.
No one should ever, really.
It's weird. We talked about him last week, man. It's crazy what he's been in the league for almost 15 years now, and he's mostly awful. And then sometimes he can do that.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you never know when it's going to happen.
Very unlikely.
Browns are hurt, and with all that said, the angry Saints, I still think the Browns are a halfway decent team. So, and that doesn't change after last week. They struggled more than I thought. And what kept going through my head was if Mayfield was in the game, they'd be winning. But they're okay. They're hurting. Emmanuel Ogba's we're not sure about his ankle injury, but I like the Saints here, even though I think the Browns are decent.
I'm actually taking the Brown with the points with 8.5. I railed on the Browns last week saying I didn't believe in them, even though everybody else was believing in them, and now I kind of believe in them a little bit after they tied the Steelers. That gave me a little bit of hope for Cleveland. If Tyrod Taylor, Tyrod Taylor last year with the Bills went to New Orleans and threw for 56 passing yards in a 47-10 loss. That's not good. He'll obviously have to play better than that. I still like the Saints to win, but I think the Browns are going to keep it within a touchdown.
Okay. And this was your fun game of the week that you wrote about this week on Pickwatch.
Yeah. What did I say that was? I think the reason I wrote it was my fun game is because last year I picked the Browns. I never thought the Browns would go 0-16. I didn't think we'd see that again after the Lions in 2008. So I always picked the Browns to win, and every week they screwed me. I said, last week it was kind of fun watching them almost win a game, and that was such a big topic around the internet on Sunday. The Saints with Drew Brees can be such a high-powered offense. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch, and I think Cleveland, like I said, Cleveland will keep it close. I don't think they're going to win. If they win, man, Browns for Super Bowl.
Right, exactly. So we got 58% of the experts picking the Saints and giving the points right now.
Yeah.
So that's that.
It's not a bad call. I mean, they're at home. Really the Browns have stunk for so long. It's I guess it is hard not to go with the Saints there, but I'm a believer now in the Browns.
All right, next up, Eagles at Bucks. Foles is starting again for the Eagles. We're probably going to be without Alshon Jeffrey again. Eagles are favored by 3, over under 44. The Bucks lose their slot corner, Vernon Hargreaves. Deshaun Jackson has a concussion, didn't practice Wednesday. I mean, when you hear concussion midweek, you think probably not playing, but concussions go away when they go away. Fitzpatrick, back to him. I look and I go, he's coming back to earth. I mean, it happens. It always happens.
Yeah, I should have done some research and looked at his game logs, and when he does play well, I wonder what he does in next week. But he's just kind of the consummate backup where he's probably going to be crappy for it. Maybe he'll play well, and it's almost unbelievable that he played as well as he did. But yeah, there's a reason why he's not a starter. And for the most of his career, he's not been a starter. He's just not that good. And especially, you lose Deshaun Jackson probably, who had 2 touchdowns last week. It looks like two of his starting offensive linemen may be out. They were both limited to practice yesterday. Donovan Smith, the left tackle, and Caleb Ben-Nanoke, the right guard. That's obviously a problem. Yeah, I think the Bucks come back to earth this week. And Eagles -3 seems like a really good deal for me.
I'm taking the Bucks. I think it's less about the Bucks than it is about the Eagles.
Well, I thought the Eagles played okay against the Falcons. I mean, yeah. maybe there's no Jeffrey, but with Nelson Aguilar and Darren Sproles out of that backfield, I like that team. I think they're gritty, man. I think maybe they're not going to be so great. I don't think without Carson Wentz, even though Nick Foles did win Super Bowl last year. Why do you like the Bucks +3 at home?
I think what I said last week, that Saints Bucks game is funny. When we talked last Thursday, I kept saying I like the under 49.5, and I'm watching that game here. I'm going at the end of the second quarter. I go, I actually lost the under already. It's over. It's kind of a bummer. But I thought before that game, I think the Saints' defensive performance was a little fluky, and I actually think that about the Bucks too. Even though a lot of what the Saints got was sort of garbage time stuff because the Bucks were up big. I think the Bucks improved their defense enough in the offseason to be, let's say, a middle of the pack defense. I said, I know they lost Hargreaves, like I mentioned. Slot corner, not the end of the world. I think they're fine. I don't really like Foles that much, despite what he did in the playoffs. And I just think the Bucks are a sort of let's say, an average team. And when I see teams like that, and they're at home, and we see the Eagles coming in with some warts, with some issues, they're still good, but I think I'd rather take the home. I like home dogs, and this is one that kind of jumps out at me.
Dick Foles didn't play well for long stretches of time against the Falcons, no doubt about that. Obviously the Eagles, if they had their choice, would start Carson Wentz. There's no question about that. But every week that goes by and Nick Foles keeps winning, even if he doesn't look good, it's hard for me to be like, this guy's garbage. Maybe he is garbage, but he knows how to win. I guess he's figured it out.
He had last year. He did. I think he's fine. But last week's offensive performance against Falcons, I looked and I went, that's about right. That's what he is.
I think that's enough to beat the Bucs, though. I personally.
Yeah. Okay. So we disagree on this. That's fine. All right. We have to disagree.
It's better that way. We should be throwing down more often. We shouldn't be agreeing so much.
We should. And the experts, by the way, on Pickwatch, 50%. Bucks 50%.
Well, there
right
you go.
now. So it's a toss-up everywhere. Panthers, Falcons. We mentioned, I don't think the weather. I think the wind is going to be fine, and the rain's the issue in the southeast. I'm in Charlotte, by the way, but I'm ready to, 8 inches, 10 inches of rain. I don't know.
You're not leaving, are you? There's no reason for you to leave.
It's going to move slow by the time it gets here. I mean, we're going to get dumped on with rain, but the winds are going to be okay. Now, floods can still cause issues with lots of stuff, including electric. So we've got to be careful. But
so next week you're going to be in your bathing suit, so trying to swim around your den there, right?
It's funny. I have a pool, and I looked the other day. How do I drain? It's new. I got to drain water out of the pool.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to overflow into my house.
Sorry, Mr. Rich Guy with your pool. You got some problems.
I know. And first world problems, totally. All right. So Falcons, Panthers, 44.5 over under. Falcons are favored by 5.5. Lots of injuries here. Carolina loses. Greg Olson's out they said they're going to evaluate him month to month. Right tackle Darrell Williams might be a worse injury. He came back from a preseason knee injury, injured the knee again in a different place, probably going to have surgery. Trey Turner, their Pro Bowl guard, didn't practice Wednesday due to a concussion. Hopefully that's okay, because if he's out, this is a whole big mess. Falcons lose guys from their defense. In addition to Devontae Freeman sitting out with the knee injury he suffered last week that he said wasn't a problem, which we'll see about that. Safety Keanu Neal out for the season with a torn ACL. Linebacker Deion Jones, who's a quick guy. Deion Jones is the type of guy, he's one of those smaller linebackers, sort of a hybrid, and he would have been perfect. They let those linebackers cover backs. So Christian McCaffrey now has some room to run here. Look, these teams are both struggling with injuries, but the defensive injuries for the Falcons really kind of have me worried.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I think they're going to be okay in the secondary. I like their cornerbacks. I think the linebacker. I mean, now you look at the depth chart on ourlads.com, and it's Foyesade Oluokun as a middle linebacker, 6th round pick for this past year. Now he's going to be the starting middle linebacker. Oof, that's a potential problem there. I don't, losing Jones and Neal, those guys are 2 Pro Bowl defensive players. Those guys are good players. They anchor that defense. It's going to be tough for Atlanta to overcome that. They're going to have to really rely on that offense to score a lot of points. And what they showed last week against the Eagles, they didn't score a lot of points against the Eagles. So it kind of begs the question about, well, how much now are you going to dump on Matt Ryan for losing 2 guys on the other side of the ball? You're going to have to count on him more. And like he showed last week, I'm not sure that's a great thing.
So what did you think of Matt Ryan? Obviously, we didn't think much of Matt Ryan, but the reaction was some people saying just a bad game and others saying, wow, he's just not good anymore and he can't throw, and why he's declining. What do you think?
Yeah, he didn't – he's a kind of quarterback who's going to throw in a bunch of bad games in a year. Not a bunch, but, he's going to throw in some bad games. He's not as consistent as he wanted to be as for a first-round pick. Where was he? Was he number – what number overall was he?
He was 2 overall.
He was 2, right. Mm-hmm. So you would like to have a little more consistency out of him from that. The thing that I think was a little concerning was that his ball didn't look as fast. He didn't, he was
right.
He was looping his balls. His technique looked off. I mean, I think now we're like, maybe this wasn't just a typical Matt Ryan crappy game you're going to get 4 times a year, but maybe there is something wrong with it. Maybe he has gotten old overnight. And if that's the case, oof, that's a real struggle for the Falcons.
That would be.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know. What did you see out of him? What did you think?
I thought the same as you, that some throws were, lollipops. You know what I mean? That he was trying to throw deep outs and you went, wow, it's taken the ball a really long time to get there. I don't know if it was a bad night. I think I want to see more. I also think he's still probably good enough. I don't know. I just have a hard time believing all of a sudden he's declining that rapidly. So,
doesn't usually happen quite that fast. No, I mean, it doesn't usually happen quite that fast where it's from one year to the next. It's a totally different player. So I'm inclined to agree with you where it probably was just a bad night, first game of the year, had a little less preparation than the rest of the league having to play on Thursday. But now you got 10 days to recover after that Thursday night game. Let's see what he can do this week. And if he struggles again when he's throwing kind of like you said, those lollipops, and he doesn't have that arm strength we're accustomed to, then maybe there's a chance that we're going to need to worry about this a little bit.
All right. I like the under here based on the way both offenses and defenses played last week, even with the injuries. I also, with the point, I think it's too many points. I'm going to go with the Panthers. What about you?
Yeah, no, I have Atlanta going over Carolina straight up, but I have the Panthers at +5.5.
Yep. All right. And
and I wouldn't be surprised to see the Panthers win that game. I mean, that's
me neither. And on Pickwatch, 75% of the experts going with the Panthers. Now, remember, it's Thursday morning, so all the picks aren't in. There's a lot of no picks going on here so far. So just, take that in mind. You've got the early picks here, not the final picks. Next up, Dolphins at Jets. Jets favored by 3, over-unders 44.5. Sam Darnold is the toast of New York City right now. Everybody loves Sam Darnold. Everybody beating up on the Giants for not drafting him.
Well, you would take Saquon Barkley over Darnold? No, I don't think
I would have took Darnold. And I guess growing up a Giants fan, I would have took Darnold.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly something you're gonna have to be second guessed on. No question about it. Yeah, it's funny. We talked last week about how the Lions, the last time they faced a rookie quarterback making their debut in Week 1, it was Matt Ryan, and their first pass was like a 65-yard touchdown pass for the Falcons. It was the opposite with Darnold throwing that pick 6, and you're like, oh, well, maybe the Lions have improved. But no, Darnold recovered so well for a 21-year-old guy, for a guy who's the youngest – I think he's the youngest quarterback to ever play, right? Or at least
to start a season, I think, yep.
Yeah. For him to go in and be so poised and inconsistent, impressive, and just a really good tool set. I really like that. Right? It's hard not to like what he did.
I agree with you. I think he looked good. I think he's got some good skill players. I think the Jets are – I use words like decent and okay, but most teams aren't really good. Most teams aren't really bad. A lot of them in the middle. And I think people thought the Jets might be bad, and they don't seem to be. This one,
like last year.
Yeah. What did we learn from the Dolphins in that game? It was weird. You almost don't want to read too much into anything from a game that was interrupted a couple of times and took 7 hours to play or whatever it was. It was just strange.
What I thought about was tennis players, like these pro tennis players, when they have they invariably have long rain delays throughout the summer, wherever they're playing around the world. They have 2-hour delays, 3-hour delays. And what you'll notice is, like, when they come back, the top players will usually win those matches. And not just because they have most talent. It's because mentally they prepare themselves. Mentally, for tennis, the difference between number 1 player in the world and number 15 players in the world is mental. And I think with playing a 7-hour game, the Dolphins came back out, had a couple of delays, had a couple of times where they had to go back to the locker room, take their uniforms off, just kind of chill out. The fact that they come back and show good energy and win that game, I think it's a good thing. I mean, just from a mental perspective, I think that's what I took from. I think the Dolphins are not going to be great this year, but the fact that they kind of showed that they were fighters, I really kind of thought that was a good thing.
Okay, I like the Jets here at home. I mean, the points are close enough that I just think I don't know. I think the Dolphins might be better than I thought, but I think the Jets are just better than the Dolphins.
Yeah, no, I have the Jets -3.
All right. And on Pickwatch right now, by the way, 55% of the experts taking the Jets and giving the points. Texans at Titans. Speaking of, it's another team, the Titans. I don't know what we learned. Sounds like Marcus Mariota is going to play, despite his elbow injury. Delaney Walker done for the season. The Texans lost a couple of guys from their defense. Their right tackle, Chantrell Henderson. I think it was Neisert. I forget his. Kevin Johnson, the corner, is on injured reserve with another concussion. So the Texans really came out of Week 1 beat up. And it's one of those things. Watson's back, and they're so optimistic. And after Week 1, they got to be – even though it was the Patriots they lost to, they got to be going, oh, man, not this junk again.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. I think people with J.J. Watt – I didn't watch that game so closely, but J.J. Watt was kind of a normal guy, right? He wasn't a world beater. So I think if he can get back to being that same guy he was before, that would be helpful. I really thought the Texans would go in and have it. I don't know if they had a chance to win that game in New England, but I thought they would put up a good shot. But I don't know, with this regime in Houston, it's always kind of been like it's a team that you expect to play well and to be better. With Bill O'Brien, you just expect them to be better, and they're just kind of not,
Right. Texans are actually. I think the Texans are favored by 1.5 as we speak, and I think that line reflects Mariota's uncertainty. It sounds like Mariota will play. I look at this game and I think, if I can give the Titans a bit of a mulligan for the game in Miami, which if there's ever a case to give someone a bit of a mulligan, that's probably it. I would. Yeah. Mariota didn't play the whole time. I thought the Titans were better than the Texans coming into the season, and now you're giving me points at home. So Titans seem like a no-brainer to me. They're actually, so far, 100% of the people on Pickwatch have picked the Titans against the spread.
Really? Did I pick them against the spread?
Let me see.
I guess I must have.
Let me see what we got here. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the screen share. I love the screen share.
That wasn't me being unprepared. That was me setting you up, man.
Yep, there you go. So but I have got our video window here. Let's see. Titans, Texans. Oh, your pick's not in on that yet.
No, it was off the board when I did
right
yesterday.
Okay.
So
I just put it in there this morning. So
okay, right. So it's all right. So it's Texans 1.5. You know what? Delaney Walker being out for the season, I think that's a big deal for Tennessee. I mean, I was doing some research before the show, and there was a headline on the SB Nation site that says, "Is Delaney Walker being ruled out for the season a good thing for Marcus Mariota's development?" Maybe it is because it gives Mariota a chance to kind of, like I said, develop or to evolve a little bit and not rely so heavily on his number one weapon. Maybe that'll be a good thing in the long term. But if you're betting on these games, no, it's a horrible thing. I really think Delaney Walker being out is a huge deal. I don't like Mariota having to go in there and throw to a bunch of guys doesn't have that same chemistry with. I haven't put it in yet, but I'll go Texans -1.5 for sure.
All right. Chargers, Bills. Chargers are favored by 7 at Buffalo. The over-under is 43. Joey Bosa is still out for the Chargers. They're banged up kind of all over the defense. Josh Allen gets the start. Basically, they tried the Peterman experiment. In the middle of that game the other day, they went, all right, this is just –
less than a half.
I think they wanted to protect Allen for the first handful of games where they had really tough opponents on defense, and then they just said, really, why bother with this? So the Bills, they just looked so bad. I look at this game, and the Bills are bad. I thought coming in, the Bills were bad. I thought the Ravens were going to roll them. They did. We probably thought, we all thought the Bills were bad. But the Chargers are not – I like them. They're banged up a bit. They're not an elite. They're not the Rams. They're not the Vikings. They're not that kind of team just yet. Maybe they won't be. They could become one. I had them as a Super Bowl pick before the season, but the injuries, that hurts. I don't know how you can lay 7 points with a team like that anywhere in the NFL on the road. I can't do it.
I think you could. I think you could against this team, against the Bills. I don't. I'm going Bills +7. People can read my column on the site on NFLPickwatch.com, and I talk a lot about Darnold and how it's really hard for me to continuously pick a rookie quarterback so early in his career. I just don't. I never believe in him. Sam Darnold kind of maybe made me change my view on him, and now you got Josh Allen starting in Buffalo, and it certainly can't be any worse than Nathan Peterman. I'm going with the Bills +7. I think Allen will. I don't know what to expect from Allen, but now I'm on this trend of, well, maybe rookie quarterbacks are good. I don't know.
See, I'm not a big Allen guy. 58% of the experts have the Chargers so far, by the way. But yeah,
it's tough. It is tough because you go from the late Sunday game all the way to Buffalo, going across the country. That's a tough. That will play a factor in it a little bit, I think.
Yep. It's an early start for the West Coast team too. Yeah, I know that this definitely has potential. Where at 3:00 on Sunday, I'm looking at this and saying, "Oh, right, the Bills aren't good." You try to overthink the situation, and then you go, "Oh, right, so I just bet that team that really stinks," which can be a problem. But like I said, I just think it's too many points, and you seem to agree on the points.
That's a lot to ask.
Yep. Lions at Niners. Niners are favored by 5.5. Over under 48. Injury-wise, Marquise Goodwin didn't practice on, I think, Wednesday. He's got a quad injury day-to-day. We're not sure what's up with him. The Lions look so bad. And the Niners, they were down 24-6. I thought that the Vikings were going to really work over the Niners. And they were up, I think, 24-6. And the Niners kind of battled. It was a road game against a tough team, a team that might be the best team in the NFL. Might be. I think the Rams are probably better, but they're up there. And the Niners just really fought. I was impressed with them and the way they came back in that game. They made it more of a battle than I thought, and probably made me think that they're better than I originally expected.
Yeah. Garoppolo, for as much as we talked about Garoppolo in the offseason and how he was riding this tremendous streak, he came out again and did some pretty good things. he threw 3 picks, but like you said, they battled back. They scored the final 10 points of the game, make it close. I I'm not sold in the 49ers. I'm still not sold in Garoppolo. I don't love the weapons around him.
Right.
I don't think the Lions are as bad as we saw last week. It's hard. I don't really have a good reason why. I guess I just have more faith in Matthew Stafford than that. But man, I think the thing that's a little concerning when it comes to Detroit is now you're hearing these reports, and this is just going into week 2, that people are already questioning Matt Patricia, the new head coach. People think that he worked them too hard, that they were too tired, that maybe they quit a little bit when things got really bad against the Jets. That to me is concerning more necessarily than the way they play. But obviously they didn't play well. But this mental thing, that's concerning to me. And if you're so early in your career as a head coach and you're already maybe kind of starting to lose the team, that's a horrible thing. I think they're going to turn it around, but man, that's tough.
Yeah, that's bad signs coming out after week 1.
After week 1, for one game,
right? The other thing in that game, in the preseason, you looked at the Niners, and they invested a lot of draft capital in their defensive line over the last couple of years. And you looked, and Armstead and Buckner and Thomas. He said someone's got to step up. Buckner had 2.5 sacks on Sunday, so maybe they've got a defensive lineman stepping up and living up to his draft. And not that, they're all young, so it's not like they should have done it before now, but it looks like Buckner might be taking a step forward. Okay, so Niners, 5.5. Who you got?
All that being said, with Detroit, I have 49ers at -5.5.
Yeah, I do too. And on Pickwatch, we have 67% of the experts so far taking the Niners.
It's really tough for me. I don't know how you feel about it, but it is tough for me to get to go from, Detroit plays a Sunday night game, so it's a couple more hours later than everybody else. Now they got to go to San Francisco, go across the country. I think that's a tough thing. Even if Detroit was good, it would be a tough thing to kind of give them the points. I don't know how you feel about that normally, but in this case especially, I don't like that. I don't like the lines here.
I agree. I actually hadn't thought about that with this one, but we always should think about that stuff. Like you said, Monday night and then a long road trip. So yeah, that's not
I'm sorry, Monday night, right? It was not Sunday, it was Monday night. Yeah.
That's a tough week for the Lions. Next up, Cardinals, Rams. Rams by 12.5, over under 45. The Rams are, as Ryan and I talked about on Tuesday, the Rams are must-see TV right now. They are just, not only are they really, really good, they are just so fun. Everything they do, especially on offense, it's creative. And I know aesthetics don't make you win, but man, are those guys fun to watch.
Yeah, you know what though? I mean, that was a fun game to watch, the Raiders game. But the Raiders played with them on even terms for a long time. I'm not sure, and a lot of that stuff, a lot of how well LA played was kind of late in the game. I'm not quite as hooray for LA as a lot of people are. I think they're good. They're certainly one of the best teams in the league. I just think them playing so close with Oakland for such a long time really, I don't know if not soured is the wrong word, but kind of gave me a little bit of pause.
Okay. This was your bet your life savings game.
It was my bet my life savings game straight up.
Okay.
Which is part of, yeah. I did talk a lot in the column. I talk a lot about Sam Bradford and how I still I've always had faith in him for some reason. And I think that, Larry Fitzgerald continues to play well. I think that's obviously a nice weapon for Bradford to have. I think David Johnson didn't play well in week 1. If he has a breakout game, then I think they're going to do well enough to play relatively closely to LA. I don't think the Cardinals are going to win the game, but the bet your life savings on this game was more about St. Louis, covering the 12.5 spread.
If you want to bet your life savings, the money line is -1,000 on the Rams. Just like on Bovada. So you're not going to make much if you bet your life savings.
Listen, it depends how much life savings you got. If you got $10 million in the bank, it's not bad. If you have $1,000 in your bank account, then maybe skip this one.
So you're taking the Cardinals with the points.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think I don't know. Looking at I'm not sure that it came across that way.
That's what I got. That's what I see.
I think I wrote Rams plus 12.5 in my original column. I don't know what it looks like on the webpage. I meant to write Cardinals plus 12.5 because the Rams plus 12.5 doesn't. What is it? What's it look like on the site?
On the site, I'm looking at it. I won't do the screen share now. You've got the card. Actually, 58% of the experts so far have the Cardinals, and you're one of them with the 12.5.
It may look like in the actual column that I wrote the wrong thing in the actual column. Okay. I do like the Cardinals at 12.5. I think it's a big line. Like I said, I think if David Johnson breaks out a little bit, I think it's going to be a little bit closer than that.
All right. I think I would give 17 here if I
really
the spread was that high. Okay. I think the Rams are that good, and after last week, I think the Cardinals might be that bad.
So. Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't watch it week one. I mean, it's certainly an interesting line. It's definitely the most interesting line of the week, I would think, or one of the most interesting lines of the week.
All right. So like I said, I got the Rams. All right. So Pats are favored by 2 at Jacksonville. 45 is the over/under. Leonard Fournette did not practice Wednesday, but it sounds like he's going to play. Patriots, not sure about Sony Michel. Again, right now I'm talking at 11:15 Eastern on Thursday, so I haven't seen news from the Patriots practice today. Rex Burkhead concussion, didn't practice Wednesday. That's a problem. I love the Jags here. Love the Jags. Getting points at home in this. The Jags are really good. I don't know how they get points at home from anybody.
Yeah, no, I think when it first came out, it was a pick 'em. I think the money's coming in on New England, and I actually go with Patriots -2 here. It's hard for me to pick against the Patriots when they're given that little, even though I understand what you're saying. It's on the road against a good team. And I know that, Burkhead was a guy who played 37 snaps more than any other Patriots running back in week one. Jeremy Hill's out with an ACL now. So that running game in New England really, if Sony Michel doesn't play, that's a real bad situation. But man, when you got Tom Brady out there and Bill Belichick, it's just hard for me to go against them until I can be proven, consistently that they're not going to be, that I shouldn't take them. That more than anything, with a history more than anything else, is why I'm going Patriots here. I understand what you're saying, but it's hard. It's like I said, it's still just hard for me to pick against the Patriots here.
All right. I'm taking the Jags. While you were talking, I checked Twitter real quick. Sounds like Sony Michel is going to do it. Basically, it's whatever I can do to play this week. I guess with Burkhead out there, especially, would try it. Could be a big load for James White. But yeah, I'm all in on the Jags on this one. Raiders, Broncos. Broncos favored by 5.5. Over/under's 46. Gruden's already bitching about Derek Carr. He's mad. Amari Cooper was open because everybody's asking him. You said Cooper was going to be the focal point of your offense, and you guys didn't throw to him. So then he came back yesterday and went, well, he was open, and then Carr didn't throw to him. Dude.
It's not good when you got your head coach throwing your quarterback under the bus like that. Man. Especially they're paying him so much money. Listening to reports, I listened to a bunch of podcasts this week, and I think somebody had the idea that I guess if they cut Derek Carr, if they cut Carr before next season, they save like $15 million in salary cap or something like that. If that's the case, we may not see Derek Carr very much longer in Oakland. I don't know, man. I mean, John Gruden is a guy who comes in, he's a $100 million contract. He's basically running that team, from top to bottom. I don't know how you feel about him doing and letting Khalil Mack go. I don't know. What do you think about Gruden so far in Oakland?
I'm not a fan. I mean, what happened in the offseason is that they looked like they were playing for now, and then they traded Mack for 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
So why would you trade a third-round pick for Martavis Bryant if you weren't trying to play for now, for instance? So I don't understand that. I never like when coaches come back after long breaks. Yeah. I always say when I want to coach, I don't want John Gruden. I want the next John Gruden. And if I miss, that's fine. I want the 38, 40-year-old coach that's up and coming rather than trying to get a retread. And I know it's worked. It worked with Tom Coughlin, and it happens. There's not a one-size-fits-all thing here. But I just looked at it. When they hired him, I kind of went, really? Why? And so far, it hasn't looked great. But it's early.
It looks to me like he's trying to push Frederick McKenzie out. He wants the team to himself, and Mark Davis has said, do whatever you want with my team. I'm going to pay you a ton of money. Do what you want. I just don't know that John Gruden, after having been out of the league for so long, I don't know. It just strikes me. It just rubs me a little bit the wrong way. I don't know.
All right.
Gruden should be a guy. Derek Carr has talent, I think. if Gruden does every year, he does these quarterback camps for ESPN and is like this quarterback guru or whatever he is. He should be able to go in and make Carr a good player. I feel like if he's worth his salt as a coach, to me that he should be able to do that. And if he's already throwing him under the bus like that after week 1, I just think it's a horrible thing. Someone
tweeted yesterday. I think it was one of the NFL Network guys, but I'm not positive. Said Gruden's the guy. He always wants the quarterback he doesn't have, which I think is a great line.
Yeah.
All right, Broncos. Case Keenum. Those receivers on the Broncos who I thought might be aging. Amazing what can happen when you upgrade the quarterback to even mediocre, right? Case Keenum was fine. I mean, they were fine. Good game. I think he's mediocre. I don't think
he's better than mediocre.
Maybe, but he was good last week. He was fine. They're solid. No complaints.
Yeah. I mean, I don't love him throwing 3 interceptions, but 3 touchdowns, 300+ yards. Yeah. I mean, you're right though. He is such an upgrade over what they've had in the past. I mean, it's weird to say, but he's the best Broncos quarterback since Peyton Manning,
Right. So this game, 5.5. I think the Raiders are just bad. So I'm happy to take the Broncos and give the points here.
I'm going with Oakland. Like I said, the Raiders for a while played the Rams on pretty even terms on Monday. I don't think they're going to be quite as bad as we think. I like the Raiders, even though it's the same thing. It's going Monday night. You have 1 day less preparation, which always factors into it for me. But
right.
I'm not sold on the Broncos quite yet as being these world beaters. So I think I'm going Broncos straight up over Oakland, but I think Oakland's going to keep it relatively close.
Okay, right now 58% of the experts on Pickwatch have the Broncos and give them the points right now. Next up, Giants Cowboys Sunday night. 2 teams that had, I was going to say pros and cons. The Giants had pros and cons. The Cowboys had cons, lots of cons.
Right.
They just look bad here in Charlotte. Their offensive line struggled, and that's a bad thing for them. That's a bad thing. I mean, their front 7 on defense is pretty good, but their offense, I mean, they have no receivers, and if the offensive line struggles, I mean, poor Ezekiel Elliott is just going to have nowhere to run.
Yeah, I need him to be good because Dak Prescott is not a great quarterback. I mean, we've seen that he's not going to be a guy who can carry that team on his shoulders. He needs Ezekiel Elliott. And if it's like we talked about this last week. I mean, 2 years ago, the Cowboys had the best offensive line that ever, it seemed like. They were unbelievable. And now 2 years later, especially with Travis Frederick being out, that's a team that all of a sudden the offensive line isn't a strength anymore. And if that's not a strength and Elliott can't get going, that's just go down the domino list, man. It's going to be a terrible thing for them. And I wrote in my column, this is the game that scares the hell out of me. This
right.
is that game because I don't know what we have in either of these teams. Saquon Barkley had that nice run. He goes over 100+ yards. That's good. Eli Manning kind of sucked like he has always. It seems like the last couple of years. For what it's worth, Manning's lost 4 of his last 5 starts in Dallas, so that's not a good thing. It's just one of those games where you're like, man, neither of these teams are very good, and I just don't know what to do here.
Yeah, I'm with you in that I'm not sure what to do. The Cowboys, I talked about the Cowboys' offensive line struggling. Eric Flowers is maybe the worst offensive tackle in the history of the universe, so I think the Cowboys fans are going to run all over him. He's going to get Eli Manning killed before this is all said and done. I talked about this earlier this week with Fowler. I think this game is a toss-up. And the only thing about the Giants, I think I might have said to Ryan the other day, 2 years ago when they made the playoffs, they were all defense. They couldn't move the ball well. And their whole offense was basically, unless Odell Beckham took a slant and ran 60 yards, they didn't score. Well, now they have 2 guys like that. And it's not a great necessarily game plan wise, but you have 2 guys who could just, bust a play open anytime they touch it, which I don't know. In a game like this, I'm flipping a coin here. By the way, Cowboys by 3, over unders 42. I'm going to take the Giants.
I took the Cowboys straight up, but I took the Giants at +3. So that, for that to pay off, the Dallas have to win 24-20 or something like that, whatever it is. Yeah, this is a tough game for me, but
all right.
Against spread, I'm going Giants +3.
We got Giants. 67% of the Pickwatch experts take the Giants. Finally, Monday night, Seahawks at Bears. The Seahawks getting 3.5, over unders 43. This seems too easy. The Seahawks are not a good team. I think their defense is just get out of your head that there's Seattle defense and Legion Boom and all that stuff. That's not who they are anymore because everybody left. Almost everybody. The Bears looked good. They screwed it up. Yes, absolutely. But they lost to, a guy who's going to do that to you sometimes. The Bears looked like a pretty good team. Khalil Mack's going to play more. 3.5 points at home on Monday night. I can't believe that the spread is that low.
Yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks at plus 3.5. Yeah, you know what? It's going to be a constant theme for me. It's always a theme for me. And maybe that's why I'm so damn good at picking against the spread, John. Is that I think I put a lot of my faith in quarterbacks.
Okay.
So Russell Wilson, to me, is a guy who can go and win a game on the road. Doug Baldwin is hurt, but Brandon Marshall showed he still has some life in him. Tyler Lockett showed some good things, and this rookie tight end Will Dissly, 100+ yards, receiving a touchdown. It was the best rookie debut for a tight end in NFL history. A 4th-round pick. I think the Seahawks can do some good things on offense. And like I said, I like Russell Wilson. I like him on the road. I like him in a primetime situation. The Bears look good against Green Bay, but they didn't win that game. They could have won that game, but they didn't. So, it's cliche that it takes time for a team like that to learn to win. And maybe that's sports writer cliche or whatever, but I believe in that a little bit. And I think Seattle knows how to – Seattle's not going to be good, but they know how to win a game like this. And I think with Russell Wilson, I think that's a team that he can kind of – he'll keep it – like I have Seattle winning straight up. So I think he's going to win the game.
All right. Well, 67% of the experts on Pickwatch agree with you. Have the Seahawks. You're
all
wrong, but
we'll see next week.
It's fine. All right. Also, by the way, I tweeted something the other day. Did you see the picture of Trey Burton being wide open in the end zone and Trubisky not seeing him?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Folks, I have it on my Twitter for you guys to see it. It's amazing. Trey Burton, if you own Trey Burton in fantasy football, it's like he was standing in the middle of the end zone, no within 10 yards of him. Trubisky just totally missed him.
What do you think about Trubisky? How do you think he played?
I think he's fine. I think he's an interesting guy in that he throws on the move all the time, that he's just, it's a different play design kind of thing. I thought someone said Alex Smith has a comp, and I thought that was an interesting one.
Yeah.
I hope he can be as efficient and as, mistake-free. He's not going to be a big arm, Tom Brady type or whatever, but I think that the Alex Smith comp is a good one.
Yeah.
So, all right. Josh, what else you got going on?
What's going on? I don't know. Just, the first week was exciting. It was an exciting week of football. Some of it was really bad, but even if it's really bad, I wouldn't say the Dolphins-Titans game was exciting to watch, but, everything else is pretty good. All
right. Folks, remember, I'm going to show you again. See this Excel spreadsheet? I downloaded it from Pickwatch, the Excel button, the green Excel button on the top left of the page. You can sort by a lot of things. You can use a search function to get whoever you want on the page. Then you can download them, use filters if you're an Excel person. There's lots of great stuff coming from Pickwatch. Really, really cool. You're going to like it a lot. Keep an eye, again, Sunday show. I'm going to be here probably 11:45 Eastern, so please come check it out, where I'm going to go over the final news before things start, and I'll be back on Tuesday. But Josh, have a great weekend. Good luck. I hope you go 12-3 again.
Oh, there's no doubt I will.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Again, I'm at Halpin37. He's at Josh Katzowitz. We are at Pickwatch on Twitter. If you have any questions, please check it out. And if you're watching on Facebook, even if you're not, check out our Facebook page. Ask us questions if you have them. That's all for today's edition of Pickwatch Live. Again, 11:45 a.m. Eastern on Sunday. Can't wait to see you then. For Josh Katzowitz, I'm John Halpin. See you next time.